Live from New Delhi, you're watching DT India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. As Israel-Hamas conflict rages on, Arab world, United States split on ceasefire, protests marked in major cities across the world. US reaffirms support for humanitarian pauses in Gaza, Blinken to visit Turkey after meeting leaders in the Middle East. And in cricket, India wins the toss and chose to bat against South Africa in a high-octane World Cup encounter in Kolkata. The United States and Israel have rejected calls for a ceasefire by the Arab world, with the death toll in Gaza mounting. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators staged protests in cities including London, Berlin, Paris, Istanbul, Jakarta and Washington, demanding a ceasefire. People gathered in Washington to denounce US President Joe Biden's war policy and demanded a ceasefire, while in Indonesia, the world's most populous Muslim country, Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi addressed the protesters on Sunday. He reaffirmed Indonesian government support for the Palestinian people and said they would send a second shipment of aid. Meanwhile, Antony Blinken, US Secretary of State, is visiting Turkey on Sunday, where he will remain until Monday afternoon. It is not yet clear who the Secretary of State will be meeting. Turkey on Saturday recalled its ambassador to Israel for consultations due to the humanitarian crisis and the ongoing Israeli attacks in Gaza. Earlier, foreign ministers from Qatar, Saudi, Egypt, Jordan and United Arab Emirates met US Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Amman on Saturday and pushed for Washington to persuade Israel to agree to a ceasefire. Blinken said US remains deeply committed to the humanitarian efforts in the region. However, the top US diplomat dismissed the idea of a ceasefire, saying it would only benefit Hamas, allowing the Islamist Palestinian group to regroup and attack again.
And indeed an obligation to defend itself and to try to take the steps necessary to ensure that what happened on October 7th never happens again. But equally, it is very important how Israel does this. And in particular, it's important to take every possible measure to protect civilians and to prevent harm to them, as well as to ensure that those who need assistance get it. And in our conversations with the Israeli government, including just yesterday, we have pointed to steps that they could and should take to minimize harm to civilians, to prevent civilian casualties. It's our view that a ceasefire now would simply leave Hamas in place, able to regroup and repeat what it did on October 7th.
And Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has listed the top Hamas targets of the Israeli Defense Forces, vowed to find and eliminate them. Speaking at a news conference in Tel Aviv, he said that Israel had delivered a hard blow to Hamas brigades and destroyed critical military infrastructure. And my colleague Amritpal Singh, who's reporting from the war zone, gets us the latest from Israel border.
I'm right now standing at the Golan Heights. This is the border that you see behind me, is the border of Israel with Syria. So right now, the threat of a regional escalation looms large, though Syria has been, quite its military capabilities have been depleted by the constant conflict that is going on in Syria, or the civil war, which has been going on for more than 2 years. But Iran's proxies are still active, and that is what the international community is concerned about, that if Iran starts acting through its proxies out of Syria, the Hezbollah anyway is backed by Iran, and also the Hamas, so it could spill over. There could be a regional escalation, and the world cannot afford a second war. Right now, the first war, Ukraine-Russia crisis anyway, has affected global supply chains, and another war would mean disaster for the world. And that is why you see hectic diplomacy. Antony Blinken, the US Secretary of State, was in Tel Aviv. He held long meetings with Benjamin Netanyahu and his war cabinet, and later traveled to Jordan to see, with two objectives. One, to see that it does not escalate beyond Hamas and Israel, and the second, to see how humanitarian aid can be increased into the Gaza Strip, because there's a humanitarian catastrophe unfolding there. Amritpal Singh for DD India at the Golan Heights.
Chinese Premier Li Qiang has said China will further expand market access and imports. Addressing the opening ceremony of the annual China International Import Expo in Shanghai on Sunday, Li Qiang said promoting opening up in market opportunities and removing barriers to foreign investment in manufacturing a priority.
We will continue to promote opening up and market opportunities. We will further ease market access, implementing relevant policies such as lifting all restrictions on foreign investment in the manufacturing sector, protect the rights and interests of foreign investors in accordance with the law, and continue to create a marketization, legal, and international business environment.
Meanwhile, Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said it is Australia's interest to have bilateral relationship with China that was based on constructive engagement and dialogue. This is the first visit of an Australian leader to China in 7 years.
Engagement between countries helps to build relationships and helps to build understanding, both of common interests and where there are differences. And that is why the government that I lead will continue to work constructively with China. As the business people in this room understand so well, it is in all our interest to have a relationship where there is dialogue and cooperation. Along with the other economies in our region, Australia and China have prospered thanks to the certainty and stability that is made possible by rules-based trade. Every country has a role to play in advancing trade that is both sustainable and inclusive.
And Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida kicked off a tour of Southeast Asia, starting with a visit to Malaysia. It's aimed at strengthening ties with countries in the region, boost security cooperation with them. Patrick Falk gets us more.
Mr. Kishida's tour will also include a visit to the Philippines, and it's already about strengthening bilateral relations with these countries. And in particular, he wants to strengthen maritime security cooperation with Malaysia and the Philippines, and to reassure the Southeast Asian nations that Japan is ready to maintain peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific, even as America's attention is very much focused on the Middle East right now. Reports have suggested that strengthening that security cooperation with Manila will be a much more straightforward affair than it will be to do so with Malaysia. It is welcomed by the Philippines in many ways, as it is embroiled in this intensifying dispute with Beijing over territories in the South China Sea. Malaysia, by contrast, according to reports, is somewhat skeptical about deepening any security alliance, and is skeptical also about Tokyo's official Financial Securities Assistance Program, which was passed in April and essentially offers like-minded countries the ability to purchase security and defense equipment from Japan. Notably, it was described by China's state-run Global Times as ominous. It also described Prime Minister Kishida's visit as trouble-provoking, but the visit does offer Malaysia an opportunity to strengthen relations with Tokyo, to act as a counterbalance to its relations with Beijing.
Russia's new nuclear-powered submarine, Imperator Alexander III, carried out successful test launch of Bulava ballistic missile from the White Sea. Russian state news agencies reported on Sunday, citing the Russian Defense Ministry. Russian President Vladimir Putin has been pushing for Russia to maintain its nuclear deterrent to counter what he calls growing security threats, as ties between Moscow and the West have hit new lows over the war Russia launched in Ukraine in 2022. The intercontinental missile, launched from an underwater position in the White Sea off Russia's northern coast, hit a target thousands of kilometers away in Kamchatka Peninsula in Russian Far East. The ministry did not say when the test occurred. The Beret-class strategic missile cruiser is equipped with 16 Bulava missiles and modern torpedo weapons. And 3 UN agencies have called for protection of children and families as Pakistan has started a campaign to deport foreigners residing illegally in the country. The UN agencies say children face serious protection risks while on the move in Pakistan, in detention centers, crossing borders, and upon return to Afghanistan. UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, IOM, the UN Migration Agency, and UNICEF, the UN Children's Fund, continue to appeal to the international community to increase support for hosting vulnerable children and families and refugees in Pakistan, said a press release issued by the 3 UN agencies. Children face risks of physical threats to their safety, family separation, distress, fear, abuse, and exploitation. A 48-hour countrywide blockade of road, rail and waterways began this morning in Bangladesh. The blockade is enforced by Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP, and like-minded opposition parties. Simultaneously, banned Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami is also enforcing a blockade, demanding the current government's resignation and installation of a non-party neutral administration to oversee the 12th parliamentary elections. Vehicles of the newspapers or media, ambulances and vehicles transporting oxygen cylinders and medicine will remain out of the purview of the 3-day blockade. Meanwhile, a dawn-to-dusk hartal will be enforced by BNP on Sunday in protest against the arrest of party standing committee member Amir Khosrow Mahmood Chaudhry. Let's now take a look at some other stories making news around the world. Hamburg Airport in Germany remains closed after a man drove a car through a barrier onto the grounds of the airport on Saturday. All airport terminals are evacuated and the airport is currently closed for takeoffs and landings. A total of 27 flights have been affected by the move. The increasing prices of kitchen products has led to a short-term inflation in Pakistan surging 2.88% year-on-year in the week ending on November 2nd. The World Bank warns Pakistan at a tipping point of poverty with 40% of its population below the poverty line. And time for a short break, but still to come on DD India Live. India's quest to become a global manufacturing hub. Delhi's air quality index very close to hazardous category. And in cricket, India takes on South Africa at Eden Gardens.
Welcome to Jaipur.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Malaysian Foreign Affairs Minister Dr. Zambari Abdul Qadir is visiting India from today. The visiting dignitary will co-chair the 6th India-Malaysia Joint Commission meeting with Indian counterpart Dr. S. Jaishankar during his two-day visit. The Joint Commission meeting will review the progress of enhanced strategic partnership with Malaysia in several areas. He will also call on India's Vice President. The visit will provide an opportunity to comprehensively review bilateral relations and to explore ways to further deepen and strengthen them. The air quality in Delhi continues to be in severe category for the fourth consecutive day. Air quality index stands at 478. The thick layer of toxic smog engulfs the city, resulting in poor visibility. According to medical experts, for a healthy person, the recommended AQI should be less than 50. But in Delhi, the AQI is very near 500, which comes under hazardous category. On Thursday, the Graded Response Action Plan, Stage 3, was implemented, which orders closure of all primary schools for a couple of days and restriction on construction activities. Further decision on extending the restrictions can be taken on Monday. India is making strides to become a global hub of high-quality tech manufacturing. Global tech giants are expanding their manufacturing operations in India, making the South Asian country a strategic hub for global supply chain. Alphabet Inc.'s Google is setting up manufacturing unit for its flagship Pixel 8 smartphones in the country. Apple has already started assembling iPhones in India for some time. South Korean tech giant Samsung has set up the world's biggest mobile manufacturing facility in the Indian city of Noida. The report says Make in India initiative by government has proven to be a catalyst for the tech companies to explore the multitude of opportunities in the country. Further, India's skilled labour force and favourable policies attract tech investments from across the globe. Let's take a look at other stories making news today. Ahead of the Indian festival of Diwali, the state of West Bengal has taken a significant step towards reducing pollution by deciding to sell only green crackers with QR codes. As per the state officials, the crackers that are not labelled as green are illegal and totally banned. Famous Indian sand artist Doordarshan created a sand sculpture on occasion Indian cricketer Virat Kohli's birthday. But those are the visuals of the crackers that I was talking about. And here's the Virat Kohli sculpture. He turns 35 today. It's the birthday of the ace cricketer. And India takes on South Africa in the ICC Cricket World Cup at the Eden Gardens in Kolkata. India won the toss and opted to bat in the match, which started as Clash of the Titans. India has retained the same team, while South Africa made a change, including the Brace Samshi in place of Cheryl Coetzee. Both the teams are qualified for the semi-finals. India was at 22 for the loss of no wicket when the reports last came in. And Kolkata is caught up in cricket frenzy as anticipation builds for the high-voltage showdown between India and South Africa at the iconic Eden Gardens. The match has already started. The city's cricket enthusiasts are buzzing with excitement, hoping for India to maintain their flawless record in the tournament. More in this exclusive report by our correspondent, Narayan Singh.
The venue for the World Cup match between India and South Africa. It is a historic cricket stadium with a rich sporting legacy. It can accommodate over 66,000 spectators. Known as cricket's answer to the Colosseum, it has hosted significant matches in its history, including the first World Cup final outside Lord's. You can see the beauty of this cricketing marvelous theatre, and it can accommodate a large number of people. The notable moments include Anil Kumble's remarkable 6 for 12 against West Indies in 1993 Hero Cup final and Sachin's famous run-out incident during Asian Test Championship final match against Pakistan. There have been great achievements like the 376-run partnership between VVS Lakshman and Rahul Dravid in 2001 Test series against Australia. And another remarkable moment of this iconic ground is Rohit Sharma's record-breaking 264 in an ODI against Sri Lanka in 2014. So it has many historic milestones against its names, and the Eden Garden status as the venue with the most test matches, having hosted 39 test matches. If you take a look at the ODIs, it has hosted a total of 37 ODI matches, and 21 matches were won by the team who batted first. If you talk about the team who won ball first, then 15 matches were won by team who bowled first. And if you take a look at the average first inning score, it's 240, and average second inning score is 201. So these were the crucial stats and records associated with this ground.
And India correspondent Narayan Singh joins us live from the Eden Gardens where India-South Africa match is underway. Narayan, you're at one of the most cricket-crazy stadium of the cricket-crazy nation. Take us through the mood of the people as the clash has started. India is off to a quick start, 40 runs in just 3.2 overs.
True, Shubhendu. A great start by the Indian team here, and a great atmosphere here. A sea of people, a blue sea is visible here at the Eden Gardens, and a large number of people are gathering here cheering their favorite players, especially the Kohli, and today is his 35th birthday, and today he can also make a milestone of scoring 49 centuries in the ODI cricket, and he can equal the record of legendary Sachin Tendulkar. So a great occasion, two big teams, iconic stadiums, and here the way Indians are performing is great. Throughout the tournament, our pace bowlers, our spin bowlers are bowling with a poetic fluidity, and our batsmen are composing the symphony of runs, and our pace bowlers had made the pitch like a minefield for the opponents. And the way they are batted throughout the tournament, the fans are hoping that they will repeat whatever they have done so far in the tournament, winning 7 out of 7 matches, and the kind of cricket they played is exceptionally well. There is no glitches in their cricket. If you take a look, the way after the injury of Hardik Pandya, Shami was introduced. Shami played flamboyant cricket, taking 5 wickets in the first match, then in the next match took 4 wickets, and in the match against Sri Lanka again he took 5 wickets. So far in this World Cup he has taken 14 wickets, and overall also he is the highest wicket taker for India at the World Cup. This shows the testament of his class, his skill, and today this stadium is very, we can say, iconic, and iconic moments are there. Virat Kohli's 49th century, everybody is waiting for that century, and it's the home ground of the Shami, and he is also in the form of life. So many things are here for the Indian team, and if you talk about this match, the gravity and the intensity of match, we can call it a cricket classico, the El Clasico of the cricket, because two heavyweights of this tournament are facing each other. Both the teams are there in the semi-final, but thing is that the battle is for the supremacy. Who will just rule the world of cricket here?
Right. There's much to cheer, of course, in the match today, Narayan. Fans would want a clean sweep for India, but how easy is it going to be? They're up against one of their most strongest opponents in this World Cup, and evenly managed teams. Many are even calling it a mock finals of the World Cup.
Definitely, Shubhendu, both the teams have played a wonderful cricket here. If you take a look, South Africa, you can never count them out from the tournament, or even in this match against the India, because the kind of their batsmen are batting, Quinton de Kock, the way Klaasen is batting, David Miller is batting, Van der Rohe is batting, all of them are in exceptional zone. If you take a look, Quinton de Kock has scored 4 centuries in this World Cup. Also, he has a fantastic record against India also. So in that sense, it's not an easy match for India also, because one thing is that South Africa has won their maximum matches while batting first. They have scored huge runs. Out of the 7 matches they played so far in the tournament, in the 5 matches they have scored more than 300 runs, and they are approaching the mark of 400 runs. In the first match they have made more than 400 runs. So they have set a benchmark that the 400 is the new 300 in the world of cricket, the way the World Cup is going on. But one thing is, the most important thing is that Indian the bowlers, the way they have bowled in this tournament, so far they have never gave any team any sort of we can say room to make 300 run against them. So this is a factor that goes for the Team India. But the most important thing will be how the Team India play in the first 10 overs. If in the first power play they can negate the threat of the South African bowler. Right now the India were playing exceptionally well. The few minutes back I saw the run rate was around 10 and 11 were approaching. If they maintain this momentum here, definitely it will be difficult for South Africa, because the home crowd is in favor of them, and Virat Kohli's 35th birthday is today. He will also want to make this occasion special, because in the last match he missed the century against the Sri Lanka in that match. So we are hoping that something special will happen here today, with the kind of there is a, we can say, excitement among the fans. They were hoping that India will maintain their unbeaten run throughout the tournament, because it's very rare to have a team to maintain their unbeaten run throughout the tournament. They have already won 7 matches. Today will be the 8th matches. They will play 7 matches in the 9 matches in the league phase of the tournament. That is, after that, the 2 matches are left, semi-final and final. So 10-11 matches India needs to win on a streak, because if they want to win the World Cup, last match will be against the Netherlands. Definitely we are hoping that in the last match also they will continue. But today's match will test the skill of both the teams, where they stand, because today India is batting first. South Africa has won their maximum matches while batting first. So it's a test of the skill also.
All right, there's much to look forward to. Thanks very much, Narayan, for those updates. Enjoy the match. We'll keep coming back to you for more. And with that, we conclude this bulletin. News and updates continue after a short break. Namaskar.